My name is Harry D. I'm a senior registered migration agent at 𝐓𝐨𝐝𝐚𝐲. I regularly make videos about Australian immigration law, including updates, complex areas, and best ways to get permanent residency. If you want to stay updated in immigration law, I would highly recommend you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. The Morrison government has made an important announcement this morning in regards to the priority migration skilled occupation list. A new priority skills list and strengthened labour market testing will allow small numbers of sponsored skilled workers to return to Australia to fill urgent skills needs in critical sectors, helping to create Australian jobs and rebuild Australia's economy. There are 17 occupations on the priority migration skilled occupation list that are based on the advice of the National Skills Commission and consultation with relevant Commonwealth agencies, and it will be reviewed regularly. The government has announced that it is their priority to getting Australians back into the work, but they also need key health workers to help fight the virus and skilled migrants who are going to be job multipliers and help the economy recover. The occupations are largely focused in healthcare, construction, and IT sectors, which will both supercharge the health and economic response to COVID-19. It is also important to note that visa holders who have been sponsored by an Australian business in one of the occupations on the priority migration skilled occupation list can request an exemption from Australia's travel restrictions, but will be subject to a strict 14 days quarantine on arrival at their own expense. So what that means is that if they are sponsored on a work visa by their employer, and if their occupation lies on the priority migration skilled occupation list, then they can come back into Australia and the expense will be out of their own pocket. It is also to note that for the work visas, so while immigration, or while in this announcement they haven't specified which visa this is applicable for, but given that they talk about labour market testing, now labour market testing is primarily the requirement for subclass 482 visa and subclass 494 visa, which is the regional visa, which has replaced the subclass 187, which used to be known as RSMS. Labour market testing requirement is that the Australian government have to be satisfied, or immigration have to be satisfied, that the employer has tested the Australian market and they have not found any suitable Australian citizens or permanent residents by placing 2 advertisements for a period of 4 weeks each on a recognised recruitment website, and only after they haven't found a suitable candidate, then that's why they have to sponsor an overseas applicant. It is important to note that the government has said that in addition to the current requirements of 2 national advertisements, employers must also advertise their vacancy on the government's Job Active website. Now guys, as a registered migration agent, I have done numerous 482 visas for a lot of high net worth companies. You got, for example, I can't say the names for privacy reasons, but companies that are involved in the telecommunications, companies which have $1 million of turnover, I have successfully done the 482 visas for them. And I can tell you that I have used the government's Job Active website in order for them to place the advertisement. So if you want to go ahead with this, or if you need any help with this, like with an employer-sponsored visa, then please contact me and I can definitely help you with this. Just to go along further in the update, it is also important to note that the 17 occupations on the priority migration skilled occupation list are as follows. You've got Chief Executive or Managing Director, you've got Construction Project Manager, you've got Mechanical Engineer, General Practitioner, Resident Medical Officer, Psychiatrist, Medical Practitioner not elsewhere classified, Midwife, Registered Nurse in Aged Care, Registered Nurse in Critical Care and Emergency, Registered Nurse in Medical, Registered Nurse in Mental Health, Registered Nurse in Perioperative, Registered Nurse not elsewhere classified. You've got IT occupations such as Developer Programmer, Software Engineer, and you've also got Maintenance Planner. So as I mentioned before, it is also important to note that because there are travel restrictions in place at the moment, anyone who wants to travel from overseas into Australia must be granted an individual exemption from the Commissioner of the Australian Border Force. And on the COVID Home Affairs website, it has been updated to say that you will be granted an individual exemption if you are sponsored by your employer to work in Australia in an occupation on the Priority Migration Skilled Occupation list. Just as a last point to note, guys, is that because they have talked about labour market testing, so my opinion is that this would largely apply to the subclass 482 visa, which is a work visa, which is an employer-sponsored visa, also subclass 494. However, it's a bit of a grey area, is that my opinion is that 186, which is employer nomination scheme, can also be eligible for this visa, because the 186 is also an employer-sponsored visa. Now, the subclass 186, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, there's two different streams. If you guys want to go for the 186 direct entry stream, then the requirement for that is largely you need to have 3 years work experience and you need a full skill assessment. Or if you're going under the 186 temporary residence transition stream, then you need to have worked under the current rules 3 years on a 482 visa or a 457 visa. And also note that there are also grandfathering provisions which apply if you had your 457 before a specific date. To find out more about this, please contact me on 1300 307 451. That's 1300 307 451 and ask for Harry. Thank you.